Hanging out with Langhorne Slim at the Luck Reunion, Roots Radio. Take one and only. How you doing, man?
Great, man. How are you?
I am doing well. So good to see you.
It's good to see you, too.
I think the last time that we saw you was we did a little offshoot of Music City Roots in Knoxville called Scruffy City Roots. And, and you did a killer performance, and that was just way too long.
It's been a while.
It's been a minute.
Several years.
Indeed. Yeah. So
several plus.
You've been staying busy.
Yeah, I try.
Took a little journey down your music over the last couple of days, knowing that we might get a chance to visit here at Luck, and it's been an interesting theme we've been talking to everybody about. And you're a guy that was born on the East Coast, a Pennsylvania guy, and started your career in New York, if I'm correct.
I guess I started in Pennsylvania, where I'm from. In my mom's basement and bathroom, where I wrote some of my first songs.
Didn't we all, right?
Yeah. So I kind of consider I started my career. The seed was planted in a bathroom in suburban Philadelphia, and I brought a small flower to New York, and then it became a bigger flower.
And then a tree grew in Brooklyn.
A tree grew in Brooklyn, yeah. I chopped it down and I took it elsewhere.
Yeah, and that's kind of the theme of what's going on here. This whole thing that we call Americana, what is it but a melting pot of no walls and no genres, and this festival is so exemplary of that.
Absolutely.
So, just interested in how the journey of an East Coast guy, and now down south, and your music has a really kind of rootsy, earthy flair. How do those influences all converge?
I never knew from every town that I've moved to, and I'm running out of towns to do that. If I'm lucky enough to talk to somebody that's interested in my music, they ask, how does New York influence your music? How does Nashville? How does California? How does Oregon? And I never really know, because it's just the place that you're at, and it just your experiences as you go through life. But I've always been, since I got into music, and I kind of discovered things that weren't, top 40 radio, or I was raised on show tunes and Barbra Streisand, and then, the Beatles and the Kinks and stuff. But when I started to explore other music on my own, I was always very drawn to, I guess, what you would call roots music. So whether that be the beginnings of rock and roll, or the beginnings of blues, or the beginnings of heavy metal, R&B, that's always, to me, it's all punk rock music. It's all the rawest form, and maybe before it gets popularized, maybe, or before it is as commercially viable, and maybe sometimes it flattens out a little bit.
Right.
So I'm definitely
they perfect it a little too much.
I believe that.
Smooth it out a little too much.
Yeah. So I try to find my voice as much as I can, but never try to perfect any one form. I think most of those forms of music have been perfected in their way by most of the men and women that started it, in my opinion. So I guess we all take from what we love to listen to, and hopefully, hopefully contribute.
Sorry, we got that mic there to pick up your guitar.
I thought it was to pick up something else.
Yeah, right.
But I think this festival, and Newport Folk Festival, and there's a handful of others that are great examples of probably disciples of Neil Young and Bob Dylan and all that. But people that are putting their own unique freak flavor to it, or else we would all just be singing "Blowing in the Wind." A lot of us are singing "Blowing in the Wind," but I like that too. But it's I don't want to hear 3 days of it unless it's Dylan himself playing a version that none of us can recognize.
It's so true, though, and along the way on the journey of life, you go to different places and pick up a little bit of that culture and the experiences you had there, and it becomes uniquely you.
For sure. And, for some reason, whether it's a past life kind of a thing, or whether it's just such a rich culture of music and literature, the South always seemed like it was a home from a past life or something. I always, as a 9-year-old Jewish boy in suburban Philadelphia, I was listening to old gospel music, and that certainly isn't the way I was raised or the religion that I was brought up in, but it just seems so raw that I could taste it, I could smell it, even though it wasn't coming from the church in the backyard, because it wasn't. They weren't playing that in synagogue.
Right.
They played, Ken Orelson did drop some pretty heavy music in synagogue, and I love that too.
I know, so some cantors can really throw
it down.
Yeah, man,
he could belt, and he played acoustic guitar. but yeah, you just sort of pick up whatever hits you. And for me, it was, I guess, what they call Americana or roots music. But like we were saying before, it's just the beginnings of every form of music that I've ever fallen in love with, which is most. It's the people at the forefront, and you listen back to it. Sometimes it sounds otherworldly, even. It's just so its own.
Right. So on the way here, flying in from Nashville, I met a guy on the plane who is now
Big Pat.
Instantly my best friend, and this is a guy in the business who's worked with a lot of pretty big names, and he made a statement that's a huge compliment, and he said, the best live performer anywhere. Speaking of you.
Oh,
me. And I've seen you play, and I do agree. You bring something really special live, and my theory is that it's just honesty.
Yeah, that's awfully kind of him and you. I don't know about that. That would be
that's what I'm
thing for
saying.
me to agree with.
You can't say it. No, but I think what I wanted you to talk about is how the live thing is really become almost as important as albums.
For me, it was the more natural thing for me. As a kid, I would just get in trouble, but I was performing, and before you play guitar, or are artistic or something, you're misbehaving. So I had a career as a youth in misbehaving. And then I was lucky enough, my mom fixed up a guitar for me. So that kind of a fire was always I felt it burning within, and that feeling for me, it comes at times with writing. I strive to feel that in the studio. I don't want it to sound like we're making a record in the studio necessarily.
Right, polished.
I mean, sometimes you do, but not all the time. And then live, when it's all energy. And so when you have a group of people and you're not in your brain and you're somewhere else, sort of dancing with the spirits in whatever dimension that is, I don't know. Something happens that I couldn't pretend to understand. I'm just grateful to be somebody that can make a living doing it and has anybody that'll come and sing and dance with me,
Yes, I'm so with you on that. Music has a way of transcending language that you really can't explain, but you know it when it happens. And when the audience is all kind of with you and everybody's kind of in the same vibe, there's just nothing like it.
There's nothing like it.
And that's what that keeps me and so many of us that love the music getting up every morning.
Absolutely.
Is artists like you and everyone we're surrounded with here.
No, same
that's just
here.
doing it for the love of music.
Sometimes you could get off the track because there is so much around it. It is a billion-dollar industry, and that's okay. It's good for people to make a living.
You got to eat.
You got to eat, but hopefully, it doesn't take you too off the path of why any of us started or why we fell in love with music to begin with. So it's like, as I get older, and I've done this my whole adult life at this point, which I'm immensely grateful, I try to pull my head out of my butt as often as I can and try to remember myself in my mom's basement, playing Nirvana songs and not losing that.
So true. And may the industry really start to more and more adopt that as a philosophy.
Like some of it, Pat's got it. You got it.
Oh yeah.
It's there.
We had once we connected on that point. He asked if I was coming here, and he mentioned your name and said I've already fulfilled my promise to him to give you a big old hug.
Yeah, man.
And we didn't stop talking for the whole flight, and it wasn't one of those things where I'm usually the guy that just kind of like keeps myself on the plane, mind my business. If somebody talks, I'll respond. But I would have kept talking with him for another hour. So it's because it's a like-minded spirit.
Absolutely.
When something drew me to sit down there in the first place, and you connect with somebody, and I think you can feel it in the air here because I think everyone that went out of their way to come to Spicewood, Texas.
They're thrilled to be here.
Yeah,
and those are the
here
best
for
places.
one reason,
right?
To have that vibe and that community.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that we can get a silent moment where we can get you to play a tune.
Little pieces.
But before we do that, I think they're probably getting ready. I'm hearing a big loud bass over there, but I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about. I saw that you actually formally studied music in the Conservatory of Music there in Philly.
So I went to Purchase College, in Westchester, New York.
Oh, in New York.
Yeah, and I went as an undecided. I had an option to try to get into a school or to get my job back at the Sunoco gas station, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go to New York. Yeah, and I was lucky enough that my family was able to help me to do that. And so I went, and I had no idea that there was a music program. And one of my first friends that I met, he told me that there was, and I should go and join a class. So I joined this like songwriting class. I played a song, and this teacher, Joe Ferry, who was also very into what we call roots music, or now Americana music, I guess. There was a lot of kids doing like hip hop stuff and metal and hard rock stuff, and then I came in and I was playing, you know, like inspired by old folk music and blues music. So he took a shine to me and took me under his wing and brought me into the music program, but I'd never studied music. So it was an interesting experience because it's sort of at a college level being with French majors, but you've never studied French.
After you had learned to play without...
Well, I learned because my cousin taught me some Nirvana songs, and then just by
right.
ear, and
but you weren't reading music and formally trained, and
no,
then you went into
I still can't read music. So I learned some great things by going to that school and having that experience, but it was a lot of... they pushed me to go into the city and to play like open mics, and would have me contribute like tributes on. They would do these like blues to the Grateful. He worked for this great label, Yazoo Shawnee, that I think is now defunct, sadly, but a great purveyor of this old world music. All music is made in the world. I don't know why they call it world music, but whatever. And so they would do these tributes, you know, blues to the Grateful Dead, this and that. And so I would do that, and I would get a passing grade for some of the classes that I couldn't really hang with because it was just a little out of my league.
Yeah, that's
so anytime
cool.
somebody brings up the music conservatory, I try to explain it a bit because I gained a lot from that experience, but it was not as scholastic as it might seem.
But hats off to the educators who recognized that it
Thank
ain't
goodness,
all
man.
about the books.
Oh, no
you
doubt.
know, but he still saw that you had that thing in
Yeah.
you that
I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, as are we, because we get to enjoy the music.
Yeah, right on.
So if you're feeling it,
Yeah, of
let's Langhorne Slim.
Langhorne Slim Tunes. All right, this is a new song with I guess a theme of sometimes in life you think you're finding love, romantic connection, something that most of us are built to strive for. And on occasion you find that the one you've connected with is really not a human at all, and a reptile who's been sent to rip your heart out and do terrible things to it. And it's just called Alligator. It's a little song like this. Look out, baby, from below. Trouble's coming, that's for sure. Might love you now, but he'll devour you later. Well, he ain't your lover, honey. He's an alligator. Everybody's bit, everybody bites. Everybody's trying not to get bitten twice. He'll rip your heart out, leave a hole the size of a crater. Said he ain't your lover, honey. No, he's an alligator. Heard you've been hanging down by the swamp. Don't you know he's gonna eat you for lunch? Hey! Look out, baby, from below. Trouble's coming, knocking at your door. Might love you now, but he's a liar and a traitor. Said he ain't your lover, honey. He's an alligator. Well, he ain't your lover, honey. He is an alligator.
Yeah. Langhorne Slim, thank you for that.
Pleasure, thank you.
Hey, so man, I know you gotta go and get ready for your show tonight, and let me tell you, we're going to be out there dancing with the spirits, and you're going to be on the Mavis Staples stage, so they're going to show up. You know that.
It's a thrill and an honor. I can't wait to see her. I've gotten to see her a few times in the last couple of years. One of the greatest of all time, without a doubt.
Yeah. So pretty cool, man. We really appreciate you hanging out, and hope to see you in Nashville soon.
Yeah, man.
Let's make that happen.
Let's do it.
If you would do me a favor, we're going to play one of your studio cuts when this airs tomorrow in the show. And we had Bluebird queued up, unless you want to call an audible and change that.
No. I could have done a live version of that.
Oh, no, well, so no, we'll do both.
Yeah.
If you would be so kind as to maybe intro that song.
Of course. My pleasure.
We'll get it on tape.
This is Langhorne Slim, and you are listening to a fairly new song called Bluebird. Enjoy.
Awesome. Will you do one that says, this is Langhorne Slim, and you're listening to Roots Radio, WMOT? WMOT.
MOT, thank you. This is Langhorne Slim, and you're listening to Roots Radio, WMOT. Did I fuck it up?
No,
oh, good.
Perfect. Yeah. And we've already said hey to Pat, so
yeah, man.
We're good.
We covered it.
Thanks so much for hanging
Brother,
out.
thank you. Truly a pleasure. Thank you so much,
It's
man.
an honor.
Thank you for your spirit. I appreciate it.
Same here, man.
Thank you, man.